Hello, this is Kristen Bomas, and welcome to Speak Your Truth podcast, where we are on a conscious journey to enlightenment. And today, I'm struggling with my enlightenment as we talk about what I hope is really a moral question. We're going to talk today about the children being separated from their parents as they try to immigrate illegally into the United States. I want to just address some of the debatable issues that are going back and forth. I don't want to debate them. I'm just going to kind of respect both sides as best I understand them. But I really want to talk about so much more. I want to talk about the children. I want to talk about this time on our planet. What are we doing at this time in our country? And how we're feeling either a sense of empathy or an absence of remorse or whatever we might be feeling at this time. So what is this like for you? I posed that question on both my personal Facebook page and my professional Facebook page, and I had an interesting response. People wanted to get into finger-pointing, blaming, and political issues and legal issues, and no one really wanted to talk about the lives of the children. So the political views, I'm not even going to address because I find it to be sadly sad. like really, we can't even talk politics anymore. It's just so sad. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. At the level that I'm going to talk about it today, I'm sure that we could bring that to a very different point if we step away from this podcast. But today, that's not what we're going to talk about. We do understand on both sides that Jeff Sessions created a zero tolerance and decided that the parents coming across the line for the first time would be charged with a federal misdemeanor, criminally charged on that misdemeanor. So consequently, the law that's been on the books for a long, long time gets to be accessed through that change. So where there is a place in the, let me look that up so I'm a little bit clear. The law states, and I'm going to read it as it was quoted on the internet, for parents may be separated, it is a choice, quote, for several reasons, including situations where DHS cannot ascertain the parental relationship, when DHS determines that a child may be at risk with the presumed parent or legal guardian, which we would do for all of our own children as well, or if a parent or legal guardian is referred for criminal prosecution, including the illegal entry. So by creating zero tolerance and creating a criminal charge associated with the illegal entry, he accesses this area of the law. And it is a choice. No other president has done it this way. It is a choice that's being made right now, and it's a choice. So we also know from a life perspective that every single choice being made on this earth by everyone is part of the experience we are having right now and meant to have right now. And we are seeing tremendous upset being carried on, further divisiveness, further rage, further upset going on across the nation over this issue. And so how do we step back as we look at what's happening here, and how do we just, from a more global spiritual life perspective, understand that maybe these children who, well over 2,000 children as of today, who have been separated from their parents, soulfully, they came in to have this experience. So are we ready to understand that maybe those souls are very, very, very powerful beings here to create change on this earth by accelerating some sort of experience that we're supposed to have as a whole? There's a thought for you. I'm having a very difficult time getting out of my emotions, however, and I am still very human. And while I could really sit here and give you a very high-level understanding of what's happening on this earth right now and truly believe what I teach, I think I also want to share my heart. I'm having a very difficult time with my own moral stance on all of this, and I'm not going to be able to say all of this without crying. I think we've seen a lot of propaganda on the media, Facebook and everything else. The children who are being covered in aluminum and in cages are supposedly there for no more than 3 days. 3 days is still too long in my heart and soul. Because from the moment they are ripped away from their parents, rather than turning those families around and saying, you will be prosecuted if you stay, we are bringing them in and prosecuting. And those children are terrified. And that is what I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. So while the propaganda is really, really breaking our hearts more, the truth is from the moment they're yanked away and they're terrified, they're then put in these very strange places. There are stories that are just even more heartbreaking, which we're not going to get into. They're all over the media right now. And we know that these children are suffering. These are our children. They're children of this earth. They are children. They don't belong to somebody else. They don't belong to us. They are the children of all of us, and this is how we are treating them. To my heart and soul, this is appalling. It is very much a moral issue. It's not a political issue, and it's not a legal issue. It's an issue about life. These children don't know what's happening. They're being used to make a point. I'm not so sure how well this point is going to be made, because most of these families crossing illegally don't know that change has been made, and they don't have a way of knowing. And we aren't being told that part, so my assumption may be off a little bit, but from what I understand, not so much. I asked everybody what their thoughts were about this, and they all wanted to get, like I said, into their legal and political. But beyond that, the people who didn't want to get into legal and political nonsense expressed deep pain, deep empathy, deep concern, deep moral conflicts. And that's very real for a lot of us. To see a child left alone is significant. I saw people posting that we're better for these children than their own parents because their parents were trying to find them a better life. That kind of egotistical stance is near disgusting. Who are we to say what parent is a better parent for what child? How dare us? These children were born to these parents, and these parents are trying desperately to get them to a better life, to a life of freedom and dreams. And we think that we are better parents? Do the people who say that understand our foster system? I've worked with the children of the foster system over and over and over again. Those who are in group homes and those who have been placed in foster families. And I would love to say it's a great system, but unfortunately it is not. It's a system that is as broken as every other system in our country at this time. It doesn't mean that there aren't some adults in the foster system who really are fostering with the right, whatever, it's not even the right, with love in their heart. Please pardon me for saying the right, because there is no right or wrong. Like I said, I'm being very human today because I'm having a difficult time really pulling myself back on this one. So that ego that we could possibly be better parents to these children is not our choice, because we don't know why these children came into this life with those parents and how their relationship was. They could have been born to the greatest love in the world. No money, but great love. We don't know what we just did. And we aren't showing empathy when we make such ridiculous statements. So we have another question. We see that these children, we've got a couple flowcharts. I think Axios has done a good job giving us a flowchart. NPR has done a great job of detailing the way it all goes. I think there's a tremendous amount of information out there to see what is happening with these children, and that information is out there and it's flowing rapidly because there are so many millions of us aching to know what's happening to these children because we are devastated. So as I was reading the NPR article earlier, it just was released about an hour and a half prior to me recording this. They talked about the 1,500 boys and exactly how they've traced them and they know where they are. But conspicuously, They said nothing about the girls and the toddlers. 10 to 15-year-old boys, but nothing about the girls, and nothing about the children under 10 and the toddlers. I know there's a lot of social media, I'm going to call it gossip, going around that the girls, that nobody knows, but why don't we know? I mean, I looked it up. I can't find anything about the girls, the children, and the toddlers. So what are we doing with the children 9 and under, and in particular 3 and under, and what are we doing with the girls, and where are they? They're being separated, sisters and brothers, siblings. Oh my God, the devastation to these children. I can't believe that it's happening. So let's talk about that. Between the ages of 0 and 3, a child who is removed from its parents experience an abandonment that it takes tremendous effort to repair. I don't know that we have enough Spanish-speaking families in our country, since we seem to be so against that in so many ways. But how are we going to take care of these children? How are we going to take care of them with enough understanding of abandonment to heal those wounds? And that's just the abandonment. Now let's talk about the trauma. The trauma of the destruction in their lives as they're yanked from their parents and going to a strange place with no support and no guidance and no love. A child, no matter what country you're from, no matter what financial means you come from, comes into this life with attachment for its first year. After that, the child needs to have parents who keep them safe and keep them feeling loved. And so every child has the capacity to stay connected to their parent for the needs of their safety and their life. So when you yank children away from parents at a time like this, in a manner of this, and then you put them in a strange, cold environment, as you do, with no hugging, no loving, no familial anything, no parental anything, you put a child in their truest, most haunted, most frightening place, and they are terrorized. And they don't stop being terrorized until they're in the arms of a loving adult who is going to start to rebuild attachment and understanding and empathy and love and acceptance and healing. And we don't know when that's going to happen. And so from a moral stance as a woman, I am having a very, very difficult time thinking about the children and the terror that they are experiencing over and over and over and over again. This will far exceed the trauma that we have seen in our Vietnam vets, in our Korean vets. It will far exceed the trauma of our veterans, period. And we are doing this knowingly because this country has an enormous amount of understanding through research and psychological means to know exactly what we're doing to children when we do this to them. So I want us all to think about this. It is critical to keep our families together. I personally don't understand. I truly am ignorant and do not understand why we cannot just turn them away and say, go home or choose jail. Give them that choice. We're spending a tremendous amount of money in this country right now to try to jail, to house, to treat, to medically care for thousands of children and people. And by not keeping the families together, we are creating such terror that the trauma will affect the lives of these thousands of children for the rest of their lives. So rather than treating them as if they are subhuman because of a loophole, why can we not find it moralistically sound to take care of the very children of our future? And please, let's get our egos out of the way, for we are never the better parent than the parent itself until we are proven otherwise. I wish you all the opportunity to look at your own moral piece on this, beyond the legalities and the politics. How do you feel about a child being ripped away like that? How do you feel about the repercussions in this life for those children? And let's look at our own selves And today, let's make a choice in our own lives to stand more within our own experience, within our own moralistic compass, and to stand true to that integrity that is ours. And let's not get swayed by everything else. I don't care how much I believe in managing the immigration. I do care always about how we handle the children of our lands. I thank you for listening, and I wish you a day full of love and acceptance, and may none of you ever have to experience the trauma that we are watching these children experience. Remember to text, to Twitter, to Facebook, to everything. Hashtag keep families together. For that, if it's what you believe in, will help us tighten our immigration laws while being moralistically sound, loving, and accepting. I want to thank everybody on Facebook who participated in answering the question, because it was all of your answers, your thoughts, even your arguments that we had to bring to a political halt. But everybody put their heart and soul into responding to the questions, and I want to thank every single one of you for your passion, for your willingness, for your interest, for your support. And we'll be doing that again on a regular basis so that we can all enjoy being a part of this podcast series as we look at everybody's ideas and feelings. I hope I represented some of the topics that were in Facebook and talked about, and I hope that I represented the feelings of those who really are showing a lot of compassion and empathy for the children. I want to remind everybody that much like Facebook with our questions, we're also looking forward to everybody subscribing. So please, if you liked what we had to talk about today, that you hit the subscribe button. And remember that I do Facebook Live on Monday and Thursday at 1:30, where we have a lot more fun talking about your questions about life, mastery, and enlightenment. Thank you very much again, and have a wonderful day.